Welcome back to Mind Pop Story. Last time, Spider-Man stopped a time glitch from spreading through the city's core. But now strange shadows are moving through the alleys at night. Ones that don't belong to anything living. People reporting in the dead of night, deep beneath the city in a place called Nexus Alley, a part of town most maps didn't show. His suit sensors were on high alert, but picking up nothing unusual. Maybe this was just another dead end, a false alarm. But then he saw it. One long, spindly shadow slithering against the dim light of a flickering street lamp, stretching far too long and vanishing into the brick wall of a building like it wasn't even there. They reported seeing weird shadows moving on their own, even during the day. In the center of the room stood a large, dark shape outlined in the same eerie purple glow. The shadows of the objects around the room were gone, as if swallowed by the darkness inside the chamber. The only shadows left were the 5 that had brought him here, and the one growing longer and darker at the edge of the room. As it crept closer, he could see its form a little better. Tall, thin, human-shaped, except it seemed to be made of pure darkness, a creature of pure negative space. It looked like a giant hourglass made of shadows, but that didn't make any sense. He pulled out his reflective net and trapped the shard inside. Then he crouched down, focusing all of his strength on his suit's chest plate, which was designed to amplify and focus energy. He turned just in time to see a dark shape emerge from the shadows. All he could see was a pair of glowing red eyes peering out at him, and as it took a step forward, Spider-Man gasped. Static crackled between its gloved fingers, sending a jolt of electricity arcing toward Spider-Man. As it moved, his own shadow seemed to pull away from him, as if trying to get as far away from the shadowy figure as possible. "Hey, what is this?" He reached out to grab his shadow, but it slipped through his fingers like sand. "You can run," he said, eyes narrowed. "But I know you can't hide. Not from me. Not from the people whose shadows you stole. Not from the truth. What did you do to me?" No emotion, no features, just endless black and white noise. "I am the void," it whispered, its voice echoing with otherworldly power. "And your story is over." He dodged, leaping out of the way just in time. The question was, where did shadows go when they were stolen? And who was this faceless, voiceless being, and why had it come to Nexus Alley? Sparks showered down around him as he scrambled back to his feet. The thing had no shadow. He took a deep breath and released a concentrated pulse of UV light. He stuck to the wall and watched as it drifted away, flowing around objects instead of casting shadows from them. The mist cleared and the shards were gone, leaving behind only a faint echo of its presence. And the 5 shadows collapsed, releasing the essence of those trapped inside. It gestured again, and this time bolts of electricity shot toward Spider-Man, forcing him to dodge out of the way and dive for cover. "You want to play hardball?" he shouted, firing a web projectile at the figure. "Okay, suit up." They reformed on the ground, no longer twisted and corrupted, simply ordinary shadows of ordinary people. Finally, it floated toward the dark hourglass shape in the middle of the room. Glancing at his utility belt, he switched his lenses to reflector mode. As the shard turned toward him, he braced for impact. At the last second, he flicked his head up, forcing the shard to catch its own image. It poured into the bottom of the hourglass, and the top half rose slowly, revealing the source of all this chaos. How could a shadow cast by something not actually be there? And while the police chalked it up to stress, exhaustion, pareidolia, whatever you call it, one person took those whispers seriously. That wasn't normal shadow stuff. Those were corrupted shadows, twisted mockeries of what shadows should be. And they were moving closer. But as soon as the webs hit the shadows, they just phased straight through them. It was emitting a wave of energy that was warping the very fabric of the room, distorting reality so that shadows were literally sucked out of the world and given form as creatures of darkness. Normal rules don't apply down here, Spider-Man muttered, watching them slip past his grasp. The shard floated back, crashing into the floor, trying to get away from its own reflection. Gotcha, Spider-Man said. Time to shine some light. It started with whispers. Swinging into the zone, Spider-Man clung to a gargoyle, overlooking an abandoned playground. They kept coming back to the crumbling remains of an old factory, its rusted sign hanging by a thread above the gaping hole in its roof. On the wall beside it, a spray-painted arrow pointed toward the hole in the roof, and the word Nexus was scrawled beside it. The arrow and the word both glowed faintly with an ominous purple light. Nexus Rift, Spider-Man realized. This must have been where that rift energy leaked out weeks ago. What if some of it seeped into the building, into these shadows? He dropped silently onto the ground, landing inches away from where the shadow had been. Either I'm super sleep-deprived, he mumbled, rubbing his eyes, or that shadow just growled. And 5 more shadows joined the first, each one bearing the same chilling sight, the same glowing red cracks snaking across their length. He launched his web bombs, which exploded in bursts of sticky webbing. But they weren't going far. He scrambled up the side of the factory and vaulted over the broken roof, dropping into the hollowed-out shell of Nexus Factory. As he got closer, he noticed something else. Then it lunged, and Spider-Man barely dodged out of the way as it crashed into the wall beside him. A single shard of mirror, no bigger than his hand, pulsed with the same chaotic glow as the rift energy. But Spider-Man knew just how to stop that kind of power. It recoiled immediately, shrieking in a voice that sounded like 1,000 echoes in a tomb. He shot a grappling hook into the ceiling and swung across the room. The shard screamed again as the light hit it, then shrank and shrank until it vanished completely into mist. Spider-Man let out a sigh of relief. Another day, another crisis averted. But behind him, something shifted. It was tall and thin, shrouded in a cloak that hid its features. That's, he began incredulously, but the shadowy figure cut him off by raising a hand. The figure stepped forward again, and this time Spider-Man noticed something else. The cloaked figure remained silent, but its eyes seemed to glow brighter with amusement. His spider-shaped detector flared to life, locking onto the figure as he vaulted over a pile of rubble and landed on his feet in front of it. The figure threw back its hood, revealing a face shrouded in shadow, a face that seemed to be made of static. Spider-Man felt a chill crawl up his spine. This was something beyond anything he'd ever faced. Well, we won't find out today because this is a kids' show. See ya next time. Thanks for watching.